Hello and welcome to the Prog Analyst. Today we're going to be talking about the Steven Wilson song Drive Home. The song is in the key of E minor, and it starts out the song with this guitar pattern, and the chords that are happening here are all E minor chords. We have E minor, B minor, C, and A minor, which are all diatonic to the E natural minor, and then B, which is the 5 chord borrowed from E harmonic minor. They take this melodic idea and repeat it for the most part, only changing the end of it to make it go up instead of down, and the final chord changes to D, which is from the diatonic E minor instead of B. They repeat the original idea one more time before extending this B chord to 2 measures, and the 7-bar phrase is our intro before the verse begins. Our verse is in 4-bar phrases. Our first phrase moves between the chords E minor, which is our 1 chord, A major, which is borrowed from our Dorian mode. Then we have F minor, which is our flat 2 chord borrowed from our Phrygian mode, C, D, and that goes up to E minor. These last 2 chords both being diatonic here. For the most part, the song is in 4/4. However, in our verse, we do have a 3/4 measure on the 3rd measure of every 4-measure phrase. This accelerates our melodic and harmonic rhythm just a tiny bit, subverting our expectations and landing on this range just a little bit sooner than we'd expect. Overall, this 3/4 measure serves to create a little bit of discomfort in what otherwise is a fairly slow and comfortable groove. That pattern is repeated exactly again, but with different lyrics, and then it happens a 3rd time melodically, but instead of going to a D on the last chord, it goes to D sharp minor 7 flat 5. This modal interchange chord, borrowed from E major, is a very dissonant sounding chord, which further creates an unsettled feeling for this song. It also uses this phrase as the start of a new 4-bar section, so what was the 4th bar of this pattern becomes the 1st bar of a new pattern. You're essentially losing a whole measure there. And then this last phrase switches between this D sharp minor 7 flat 5, which is the 7 minor 7 flat 5 chord, and the flat 7 major 7, which is that D major 7 here. It switches between the two of those to close out the verse. Something that I like about the verse is that the vocal melody is only repeated 3 times. I think if it had been repeated a 4th time, it would have felt awfully redundant. So I'm glad that he kept it only to 3 and then decided to use this sort of instrumental 4-measure passage as sort of a pre-chorus that is something different before bringing us into our chorus. Our chorus mainly uses just a few chords. We have E minor, we have C major, and we have A, which then goes to A major 7. So this is our 1 minor, flat 6, both in E minor, and then A again from the Dorian. This is our 4 chord. Something worth noting about the chorus is that it starts on the downbeat of 1, or with a pickup to the downbeat of 1. So it's a more front-heavy sort of phrasing rather than the verses, which started on beat 2. This creates a little bit more drive for our chorus. Looking at the lyrics of the chorus, I really like how there's a lot of space right after "and face the truth." You have this long note and then this whole big rest here. It really gives the listener time to sit with the idea of facing the truth and ponder the gravity of this situation that the song is about, which, as we can tell from either seeing the music video, if you've seen that, or looking at the lyrics of the first verse, is a car accident. The chorus takes these 4 measures, repeats them again with different lyrics, and then also adds the titular, so drive home, to end out the chorus. I also think ending on this G sharp note is especially eerie at the end of the chorus because it's not diatonic to E minor naturally, it's this A major 7. What I think is really cool about the song is often when we think about modal interchange chords, we're thinking about major songs that are borrowing chords from minor modes. In this song, it's kind of the opposite, where we're in a minor mode, but occasionally we get these colors of something borrowed from major, like this A major 7 here, or like this D sharp minor 7 flat 5, and having this really dark atmosphere with this occasional moment of brightness almost makes the song more eerie. It's like these chords borrowed from the major mode are like the narrator in denial and not really facing the truth and accepting the reality of the situation of this car crash. We have a second verse that's identical to the first, except for the lyrics, and then we have another chorus that again is identical to the first. And then there's a little extra passage that continues this drive home refrain. It's still using the same chords as the chorus, that E minor, C major, A major 7. It's just using a different melody and just repeating the words drive home for an extra 8 measures. Then we get our intro back again, one more time, before we get to this new section that basically serves as transitional material for the most part. Looking at the chords, we have A minor, which is our 4 minor chord. This is D sharp diminished 7 instead of minor 7 flat 5, which we had earlier. This sort of has a bit of a dominant sound, and then we do get B, which is our dominant chord immediately after it. and then we have E minor, which is our 1 minor chord. We start the next pattern similarly with our 4 minor and then this 7 diminished 7 before going to 1 minor, and then notice how the bass is walking up. It goes E, F sharp, G, A, B, and our chords are kind of moving down. We have E minor, D, C, then A minor, B, and they both end in the same place by the time we get here. Then we have a little guitar interlude that's using the chords from the chorus, which is really just serving as transition before building into the guitar solo at the end of the song. I didn't transcribe the guitar solo here, but I think it does some things that add to the ghostly atmosphere of this song and this whole album. Listening to the guitar solo, it primarily uses notes from E minor or from E Dorian, which makes perfect sense considering that's the chords that most of the song's been pulling from so far. Something you'll of course notice throughout the song is that the guitar solo starts out slower and gets faster and faster and builds as the solo continues to go on. Something else that I noticed about the solo that I'm not really sure how it's done because I don't know a ton about guitar text. I don't know if it's some sort of effect or if it's something to do with the harmonics, but there's some moments where it feels like the guitar is shifting between octaves. If you have any idea how they achieved that sound for the solo, let me know in the comments because I'm really interested to learn more about it. One of my favorite parts of the guitar solo is when they use this pattern of 16th note triplets that happens in both the guitar and in the drums. However, the guitar is playing a pattern of 4 notes, so it doesn't exactly line up to these nice little groups of 3, and it gets displaced having a 4-note pattern extended over a triplet rhythm. Overall, I think the use of effects on the guitar solo and how it has these really long, reverberating, connected notes gives it a soaring and spiritual sort of feeling that I think fits very well with the ghost aspect of this whole album. That's my breakdown of Drive Home by Steven Wilson. Thank you for watching. Please like it and share with anyone else who might be interested, and if you want to see more of these videos, please subscribe as well. Let me know in the comments if there's anything else about the song you enjoy or find interesting that I might not have mentioned. Thanks again!